The eternal city is under siege, and now the glorious Romans must defend the walls until the reinforcements arrive. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish, and welcome back to another glorious Rome 2 online siege battle. And today we have a very exciting scenario engagement. Not only do we have the amazing city of Rome, which, let me just tell you, looks absolutely amazing, we also have a reinforcement scenario. So we have one Roman army that is going to be staged starting outside of the settlement. It's currently running into position, so just kind of ignore it as if it wasn't running past the Carthaginian troops. So yeah, this army is going to stay offside and outside of the map and isn't allowed to basically be activated until 15 minutes. So it's hopefully to kind of give the impression that the army is marching to the savior of Rome. You know, this force is maybe a little bit past the Rubicon and it's kind of quickly trying to rush down to Rome to try and reinforce the settlement or lift the siege. And I think what's going to happen is when this army can activate after 15 or so minutes, they're going to have to fight their way through the Carthaginians to actually make it inside the settlement, which is going to be very exciting. And it's also going to be very difficult for the Romans to hold their ground in the settlement of Rome, because obviously this is a 3 versus 3, but the Romans are down an entire army. As well as that, the Carthaginians, I think the attackers always get an extra 10% more money. So not only are the Romans down, they're also struggling with numbers and manpower and stuff like that. So this is going to be a brutal fight. But obviously, they do have the, the eternal city to will them on. I'm sure the gods will protect them at all costs. And oh my god, this unit of Carthaginian hoplites is getting absolutely demolished by the Velites. That is insane. These poor dudes are ringing up this battering ram and getting absolutely peppered by the Javelineers. But yeah, so it's going to be very difficult, I think, for Romans to hold. But as soon as that other army does reinforce, I think, and it can cut its way through the Carthaginians, I think it's going to be much needed. Romans do have a pre-Marian army, so we're going to be seeing lots of Triarii, Principes, and Hastati. They're not going to be bringing any legionaries, which I think is very cool. Kind of really fits the theme of this Punic War battle. You know, what if Carthage invaded Rome and like actually took the city? Which I think is maybe exciting. Maybe that's something I will title this video. You know, what if Hannibal attacked Rome? Because that could be pretty goddamn cool. And when we have like a consul coming over to reinforce, and yeah, I mean, it's an epic battle, guys. And if you do want to see more of these online battles where they do have a cool scenario like this, let me know in the comments down below, and obviously by dropping a like on the video. Also, if you guys want to be a part of the scenario battles, or you have a cool scenario battle in mind, then go ahead and join the Discord for this battle kind of community down below in the description. I'll leave it right at the top. They host battles on Rome 2 and I think a handful of other games all the time. They're really open to new people joining. So make sure to go over and show them some love, because they've been sending in me a ton of awesome replays recently. As we get our first bit of breach right there. The arrows are coming in. But yeah, they've been absolutely awesome with battle replays recently. They keep on sending in amazing ones like this. So yeah, go over, show them some love in the Discord, and be a part of these. You know, it's a great Total War community, and I highly recommend that you guys do hang out with them. So the breaches in the walls have occurred, and I think for the most part, the Romans have fallen back. They're bringing back their Syrian archers. So there's maybe a few cheeky non-Marian units here, because I don't think Rome had. Maybe we could class these as like mercenary Syrian archers instead of auxiliary. But besides that, yeah, Rome is going to be fielding pretty early tier units, along with Carthage. I'm sure Carthage are as well. You can see they've got mercenary Samnite warriors. I'm sure probably like some Carthaginian hoplites, probably like Punic levies. Libyan infantry are pretty late tier, but again, you know, it's all part and parcel. I'm sure they did their due diligence when building these armies. But the first little engagement, we do have a unit of gladiators engaging the mercenary Samnite infantry and engaging them in the breach itself, which is pretty nice because they're going to be able to do some decent damage to them. However, we do have a unit of Carthaginian hoplites coming up the rear and about to take these gladiators from behind. Probably not for the first time. Yeah, unfortunately, these brave entertainers are going to be finding themselves completely enveloped and probably taken down. Also, I completely forgot to mention as well, this battle is like 60 minutes long as well, so obviously I'll cut out any large troop movements that aren't that important, like into the city and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a very, very long battle, which always means it's going to be hella exciting. So make sure you stick around and watch as much of a video as you can. It really helps out the channel as well if you're looking for ways to support the channel. If you just watch the entire video the entire way through, watch time is like one of the biggest metrics that YouTube takes into account when rating my video and its algorithm. So, you know, for a long video like this, it'd be awesome if you guys could watch the entire thing. But I obviously understand people don't have an hour to spend. But even still, you know, watch it on 2x speed, you know, watch it in the background or something. It really honestly makes a massive difference with these videos and how many people see them if you just watch it the entire way through. But enough of that, let's just truly get into the battle. So I think there's roughly, it's still another 10 minutes until this Roman legion can come into fighting, which can be pretty brutal. And the Carthaginians have obviously gotten word that Rome is, you know, one of the legatuses is on his way with his legion and is trying to rush to the city itself. So they've kind of set up their defenses, preparing for this army to arrive on the battlefield and try and prevent them from getting into the city. Because if Rome can link up with the rest of the army, they can obviously form up a very nice defense. An extra fresh 20 units entering the battle is going to be huge at repelling their opponents. So it's going to be very important that Carthage do prevent that as best as they can. They should be able to, you know, they have a lot of men, or at least delay them enough so they can make enough ground in the city. Because again, Carthage have a very, very nice army. They have plenty of reinforcements, and they can really go full force. You know, these 15 minutes or so until the Roman legion can arrive is the time these Carthaginians need to rush into the Roman city and try and put as much pressure on them as possible. You know, try and really funnel them in, so that even when this army does arrive, it's not going to be game-changing. Because an extra 20 men, you know, that's not an extra 4,000 or 5,000 men. That literally is almost an entire legion, you know. That is going to be pretty brutal. You know, more Triarii, more Principes, and plenty of other infantry. Rome have obviously set up, you know, defenders advantage, you know. They've got a very nice position right here where they can really hammer in these infantry arriving. Not only do they have a brilliant crossfire, they can also reinforce with infantry and basically split the Carthaginians in two. And you can see the missile fire just devastating, sending this unit flying with Pila throw as well from the Principes. And that's going to be deadly. And really, I think Carthage should hold up here. I think that's exactly what they're doing. Just kind of take a moment, get more of your army inside the settlement. Yeah, this is very much more of like a force your army in the settlement and then kind of take stock and then attack. And I think they're just getting their army in. And then they just really need to make sure they attack these positions at the same time. Like, sending this unit forward is not going to be good because that's a really nice charge here by the Romans. Not giving the hoplites time to form up. They did manage to form up now into hoplite wall, but the Romans did get quite close into them. So these Principes should do pretty decent against this hoplite, even from the front, because they got that initial charge off before they were in that hoplite wall. But as we've seen, like, this unit is pretty vulnerable. Any missile fire coming in will be able to hit them in the back, so they need to be a little bit careful. Oh my god, all that Pila was just so devastating. It really was. But yeah, now we're going to be getting more men coming in. Obviously, the archers are going to be very important. These mercenary Cretan archers being brought inside the city. That's going to be great with dealing with the enemy Syrian archers and just softening up a lot of these, you know, defensive positions that the Romans have. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to try and make some more breaches along this wall. I feel like this is something I do a ton in Rome too, and something I need to really improve on in siege battles is not settle for one breach, you know. Like, they've got their main breach over here, but why not, you know, continue up and try and break down more of these walls, you know. Why not, you know, just re-equip on this? Because I'm pretty sure they're not a one-time use. You know, just get back on it and destroy more of these walls, open up other breaches. So I think it can be so good to mid-battle open up more breaches. You know, when the defenders are already committing a lot of their men to these choke points, then all of a sudden open up another breach they necessarily weren't prepared for. I think it can just be so devastating. There's some more Carthaginian men moving over. I think they have elephants as well. Yeah, they have some elephants as well. It seems like they're currently stationary, ready to hit the Romans, and some more cavalry being thrown over here. But the Romans, for the most part, should be able to break this. There's obviously pikemen, which are going to be pretty scary, and some Sacred Band as well. One of my favorite units in the entirety of Vanilla Rome 2. Just that royal purple is amazing. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be hard for the Romans to break, and obviously that's the purpose of the Sacred Band and the Pikemen being brought here. But the Roman Legion is stacked, you know, it has Velites, which will mince through the Hoplites and the Pikemen. They have Balearic Slingers, so Rome is prepared for this as soon as this army is able to come onto the battlefield, you know. These soldiers will be able to reinforce the city. It's just a matter of time is how long is it going to be until they can reinforce. And it seems like finally they are making ground. Oh, they've also positioned some men over here. Is there a way down here? No, okay. Can you get down through this street? I kind of feel like you can't get down here. It looks way too small to be able to maneuver down here, which is such a shame. It really is. I don't know. I don't think you can, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. I feel like you can't walk down these streets, which again is so silly. Like, why not? Why not open up these other choke points and city streets and stuff, you know? This is really easy to cover with just a small unit. Like, I wish Creative Assembly did this more. A lot of modded maps do this, where they open up streets like this, where you can just run down, and it makes, like, the battle just really so much more dynamic, you know? Why can't you put men on this massive hill right here, you know? Why isn't there a path through to set men up on this defensive ridge to shoot down? Like, it'd just be really, really cool if you could. It seems like Carthage is doing the right idea, though, taking out the Roman missiles, which is going to be really good for them, because obviously the Carthaginians have a lot of hoplites in their army. They don't have a lot more of these like kind of units that can punch through, so they need to slowly grind down their opponents with their hoplites and Sacred Band and pikemen. So killing the enemy missiles, which is probably their biggest weakness, right? 2 hoplites is just getting hammered by archer fire. So by focusing them down, you're going to really have yourself an advantage in the battle. And not only that, you're also going to find yourself just being able to output a lot more damage because you have missiles and the enemy doesn't. You know, they probably die with ammunition, so that's going to come in clutch and be a huge help to the army. You can see Carthage still have an entire army outside. Oh yeah, they have all these siege towers as well. So maybe there was a rule or two in the battle as well. It's like, maybe they're not allowed to assault this wall until a set amount of time. But it seems like Carthage have made great progress here. Taking these towers and turning them on the Romans is going to be huge. And, you know, they are just grinding through. And that's obviously to be expected, right? This is 3 armies against 2. We're expecting the Romans to give ground in this battle. It's just, again, like, how much ground are they going to give until that reinforcement relief legion turns up? Beautiful, beautiful stuff right there. And oh my god, this is scary. There is a lot of Carthaginians here. And there are gaps as well in the Roman line. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some men coming around this side, you know, really utilizing the long streets of Rome. More hoplites being thrown up, some Carthaginian hoplites reinforcing the Carthaginian hoplites. These guys look like they're being a little bit more aggressive, and the Roman line is going to be able to hold for a little while, but obviously as more men be, you know, more of these aggressive like Libyan infantry up, these are like the scariest thing in the entire Carthaginian roster. Because these things go toe-to-toe with legionaries. And obviously the Romans don't have legionaries, so yeah, these things are scary. Probably not too many of them in the battle, but even still, I would not like to be on the receiving end of this. But Principes, obviously, I think these guys are probably going to be in like formation attack or wherever they get into like shield wall. They have some formation that they can use. You know, moving up to use these javelins really quickly, having a little bit of trouble because of the mercenary Samnites. But even still, you know, they'll be able to get their javelins off eventually. More missiles being brought up as well. Again, just able to hit more of this army. Oh, and the Legion has arrived! The consul is rushing to save Rome. At all costs, forming his battle formations. Man, this is epic. Look at that. That's so cool. And I really, really wish in battles there was a delayed time for reinforcements. Like, it'd be so cool if in Total War this mechanic was a thing. Where, like, depending on how far away... Oh, this poor Carthaginian horse as well is about to get absolutely clobbered. Like, depending on how far away your forces were on the campaign map, defined how long it took for them to reinforce, you know. If they were within a certain area, they would deploy with the rest of your army. If they were outside the area, they would take, like, I don't know, like 4 minutes to reinforce. If they were even further away, maybe it'd be like 5, 6, 7, like long enough so that the reinforcements might not even arrive at their max distance. I think that'd be so goddamn cool and create really unique battles where maybe you're just trying to buy time until reinforcements do arrive. Maybe all your reinforcements are close enough so that you can just deploy in one big army. That'd be so cool, and I think it'd make reinforcements really interesting and having multiple armies really interesting. Because you could play a risky game, try and cover more area by having this really spread out kind of army, or you could focus more in on having a very condensed force where you just know you'll have all 40 units available to yourself, and oh my god, the javelins right there, brutal. The mercenary Iberian swords throwing off their 4 or 5 javelins and just decimating this unit of Astarte. I kind of feel like though the Legatus did send in this unit of Astarte to die. That soldier's getting stabbed out the air. I love that animation. Such a cool and awesome animation. And there you go, the Sacred Band. I mean, look at that, the Eternal City at their backs. This is not what I like to see. I don't like to see Carthaginians pushing into the glorious city of Rome, but I'm sure that legion will fight its way through bit by bit. Rome obviously has plenty of reserves in the city. They need to be careful though. You know, the city will continue to get pushed back. I don't know where the city center is actually in Rome. Is it here? Underneath the temple and the Colosseum? Maybe. I mean, this settlement is so big with the aqueducts. And the Circus Maximus as well. City is insane. Actually is. Crazy big. But yeah, I think the city center is here. So that's obviously where we're going to be falling back to. We have plenty of members scattered throughout the city. And if you take a look at the other Carthaginian army has now made itself way into the city in marching column. This is a sign of like a tournament player right here. I feel like this is very much a tournament player thing to do, where they just have their men like in these columns. I guess it's marching column, makes sense. But I generally just always see tournament players do that. People who are a lot more serious at the game. And now we can see some of the mercenary Italian swords and the mercenary noble fighters of Carthage staying true to their nature and fielding a lot of these mercenary units to filter out their army. I like the way as well, you know, it's very much a Punic War army. You've got a lot of these Spanish troops, you've got mercenaries from Italy itself. It's like the troops that switched over from Hannibal. It's cool. Oh, there's even some fighting on the wall kicking off now. Oh, this is awesome. Look at this. This is exactly what I was hoping would happen, but I wasn't sure if the players would do this. The Romans are sending out some of the garrison to reinforce on the bridge and help get the legion through. That is awesome. All the javelins coming in as well. Yeah, I mean, this is what I was kind of scared would happen for the Carthaginians. But it's great to see, you know, Rome sending out... Wait, they don't need to send out a lot as well. It's just a couple infantry to kind of cover the bridge. They can basically sandwich in and really deal with these guys. Because the Balearic slingers and missiles will cut these guys down. But just having some infantry coming behind, having some missiles hitting them from behind, will just clean this up so much quicker. And yeah, I mean, it was like, I definitely think that this is exactly what I would have done. Try to defend this area as well. But, you know, these soldiers are basically just a delay tactic, right? It's basically what the Romans are doing. Of what the Carthaginians are doing to the Romans, but flipped over. You know, Rome's trying to slow up the Carthaginians in the city, and Carthage is trying to slow them up. Because if for example, the Carthaginians can fight their way through, if you just take a look at the map really quickly, if the Carthaginians can take this gatehouse, it's going to be very hard for the Romans to get their army inside the settlement. I mean, they could obviously maybe just go to like over here, but they don't want to. They want to get their way into the midst of fighting. And if Rome turn up, like, imagine if, you know, these 10 units of infantry get inside the city whilst this fight is still going on. All of a sudden, you know, the Carthaginians are very close to breaking through. And then all of a sudden, you know, 10 units of Roman Principes turn up and reinforce these 2 choke points. Like, that's huge. And we are seeing now the Carthaginians just throw everything they have forward. Just seeing that the Romans are incapable of it. Just seeing that they're incapable of holding the Romans. They have to be aggressive, otherwise they're just going to die to missiles. And the Romans are playing smart. They're falling back. They're trying to, you know, get these pikes out of this choke point so they can just come flying in the side so that Pila can just continue to rack up kill after kill. So the Romans are playing really well, and so are the Carthaginians. Oh, we have some Roman elephants as well. Where the hell did these boys come from? Some auxiliary African elephants. Man, they must have been shipped over. quite some time ago. See even Roman cavalry here fighting hard. I mean, like, obviously this bridge is probably pretty secure by the Carthaginians. Now we've got some of the Roman elephants moving in as well. And be causing mayhem in the Carthaginian ranks. Awesome, man. What a great siege battle this has been so far. And as you can see, with the Romans coming out as well, they're scaring off what remains of this cavalry. This cavalry is still going in, but it'll probably be pretty effective. They take a peeler throw. Look at that. The Romans weren't braced. I think they had their peeler out, and the cavalry can just rip through them. However, more reinforcements are turning up, and it's basically a suicide mission for this cavalry, but it's just whether or not they can do enough damage on that charge. Getting this like Balearic Slinger unit is probably worth it. You know, even though this cavalry unit is expensive, getting rid of the Roman missiles is crucial in this battle. And we're going to see the Romans just pour into the city now. Not a moment too soon, because the Romans are breaking here. But I mean, maybe the mercenaries, like this unit of mercenaries, if they can stop the Romans from having this, oh my god, that is insane. Like, this unit is fighting against the clock, and Rome just needs to do everything they can to hold this gatehouse until these guys can turn up. They really do. Oh, the cavalry charging in against the elephants. Someone told me that cavalry does pretty well in vanilla Rome 2 against elephants. Someone mentioned that to me. Because in Divided Impera, the cavalry does really poorly against elephants. Like, elephants are a great counter to cavalry because they just scare the horses. Elsewhere in the city as well, you can see Carthage is making great progress. Not so much in... Well, I guess they're whittling down the Roman legionaries here pretty handedly. They've managed to clear out this street, which is going to be pretty good for them because they're going to be able to come over and start attacking from the back here, really separating this district off and causing the Romans a lot of problems because, you know, right now the Romans are, you know, pretty conducted into these couple choke points, but all of a sudden they're going to find themselves having to commit more men, and if any of these positions break, like all of a sudden, if this position right here breaks, which you can see right there, if this breaks, all of a sudden the Carthaginians have easy access to come into the rear of these Romans here and start hitting them. So we're seeing more men coming charging in from our bird's eye view. And the Libyan infantry as well. They're just so scary. They really are. Their military prowess is pretty dangerous. And look at that little lag coming in as well. Never what we want to see, but you know, the glory of Rome, Mars, and Jupiter praise us. That's a Chiara. I mean, then again, these Chiara are barely going to break probably, but eventually they will, you know. There's a lot of enemy units. Oh, there's even some cavalry in the back here. Some Socii Equitius coming in and actually killing some of these mercenary Cretan archers, which obviously the Romans want to try and avoid as best as they can. More cavalry coming around. And I think the Romans did end up dealing with that unit that came down. Yeah, you can see their slaughtered bodies there. Probably all the javelins as they came down. And that's going to allow the Legion inside the city. So the consul has arrived to reinforce and prevent Hannibal from demolishing the city. That is ultra cool. We have a general here as well, general's bodyguard. Because I know you can get Hannibal in the game as well as a commander. I don't think any of them have brought Hannibal. That would have been cool to see. You know, having these scenarios of them armies turned up. That'd be really, really cool. There's actually a mod that adds in a bunch of historical battles into the game. I've seen it. There's one for Caesar, and because I know there are historical battles in the game already, but I know there's a mod that adds in a bunch of custom ones for like Octavian and stuff, and it'd be really, really cool to see like them available in multiplayer. I don't think that's possible, but it'd be really, really cool if they could like recreate some of them battles in multiplayer or something. It's awesome seeing like these historical battles played out with like proper people, 4v4s, huge scale stuff. Be absolutely awesome. Because they've recently sent me in a sub-commander battle. However, the battle was just a little bit too small. Like it was like, you know, 10 units a piece or so, and there was only 3 of them, so there wasn't that many units. But I would love like a proper sub-commander battle, like 40v40 units. Oh no, sorry, 80v80 units. And maybe the cavalry can also bring like, you know, archers and cavalry can also bring some light infantry skirmisher detachments and stuff like that. That would be epic to have. And like a proper like scenario, do like the Battle of Cannae or... and try and create some rules. Like in these historical battles, try and create some rules to try and not force the battle to go the way it did, because that's never interesting, but to like give the upper hand to the way the battle went. Like try and encourage the battle to go that way, and then see how the players react once the battle is starting to go that way. That would be quite cool to see. But again, as I said, guys, if you had any cool scenario ideas, do hit them up in their Discord. As I said, I'll leave the link in the description down below. So this unit of Illyrian infantry, don't know if they just started off with hardly any men, but they have been broken now, which is going to give this unit of Soci Extraordinarii time to run into the back of these infantry or go after these archers. The elephants are arriving to the battle, though. It does seem like they're going to go flying into the back of these hoplites, which I definitely think was the smartest idea. I think if they did run after their marchers, they would have killed. Quite quickly, though, the Carthaginians do turn around. The Sacred Band turn around to engage the Roman mercenaries. And I'm excited to see how these elephants do. Elephants in Rome 2, vanilla, tend to not do that well, unless you're really, really careful with them. They tend to die very quickly, just a couple volleys of missiles, and they go berserk very quickly. And Divided Impera armored elephants are amazing. They really are. But right now, these elephants seem like they're doing okay. They're currently a bit stationary. You want to try and keep the Romans moving if you can help it. Or, sorry, you want to try and keep the elephants moving if you can help it. But yeah, they're doing a good job. They're obviously going to be doing huge morale damage as well. Yeah, you want to obviously try and run them through. If I was the Carthaginian player, I'd probably bring them around the back here and just rear charge into this infantry. But right now, you can see they are doing some great morale damage to some of the infantry, and hopefully they'll have enough to break this and push on. More Roman reinforcements, though, are being sent down the street to quickly reinforce, and I think this is the reinforcement legion that has arrived and is now getting hammered in. So right now we're seeing the entire reinforcements turning up, and I think, as I said, not a moment too soon. Imagine if these guys were just delayed by like 5 more minutes. I think the Carthaginians would have taken this gatehouse. They would have broken through here, because a lot of these men who are turning up now are the reinforcement legions, or reinforcement legions. So without them turning up in time, I think the Roman defense would have been broken. Like, even if they would have just been able to break, like, this is such a crucial area for them as well. Because if they would have lost this section, all of a sudden they come down, they rear charge into these Triarii, all of a sudden they open up this street, and the Romans have to bring more men around to defend this. All of a sudden you have men coming down this gatehouse, rear charging this choke point, and then, you know, this entire section is overrun by Carthaginians. So I think these reinforcements turned up literally in the nick of time. And now we're going to see the destruction of the elephants. They've gone berserk. About 2 volleys from Velites are going to bring them down, which is really unfortunate, but, you know, vanilla elephants just aren't that good. In Divided Impera, they've made it so that they're a little bit more tanky against missiles, so they don't just die after a couple javelin throws. So they can actually take a lot of missile fire now, but they take a lot more damage to infantry damage, so infantry do have a better job against them. Which I think is just, you know, it might not make much sense realistically, you know, but it's still, I think it makes better sense in the gameplay. It makes elephants useful, and it makes them just deadly, you know. Unfortunately, Rome 2 can't simulate the effect elephants would have on the battlefield. So I think it just makes sense, you know. It still makes elephants deadly, and I think it kind of does their role very nicely as the Sacred Band continues to run down the streets of Rome. Awesome stuff. And yeah, as you can see, the Carthaginians have brought in the majority of their army inside the city now. I mean, city of Rome is under attack, and yeah, we'll have to see if they can hold. As more and more Carthaginians turn up, we can see the Romans in the streets, though, looking glorious. I assume you can run through this path here as well. There's some Romans going on a nice museum tour as well. Yeah, you can see more infantry coming around. And obviously, a lot of their archers are going to be arriving as well, and they're going to defend this lion statue. For some reason, this really reminds me of the Siege of Gondor, when they break through the gate, like having me spearmen like this and a statue. Don't know why. But again, obviously, like, a lot of Gondorian architecture and stuff is taken from, you know, inspired by Roman stuff. It seems like the Romans are falling back, though, giving up these areas. Oh, it's probably because they're about to lose this unit of Triarii, and the Carthaginians could come flying through. And there's just no reason to hold this. Like, before there was a reason to hold this position because they were also fighting up here against the Carthaginians. But now that they've fallen, yeah, it makes complete sense to fall back, and they've kind of left a rear guard to continue just to withdraw their soldiers. So, again, this is a great battle. I love it when the players are just playing really well. We have a cool scenario to fight in. And there's just no dilly-dallying. There's no, like, units, like, all the way at the back of a map, and it's going to take 20 minutes for them to bring up. There's constant action going on. You know, the players are constantly doing stuff to attack one another. They're keeping up the pressure. And I think it just makes it the most exciting gameplay possible. So this is a lot of Roman units. A lot of Roman units. The Carthaginians, I think, are going to have to send men through this Colosseum, through the hall. I said this earlier. I can't remember what it's called all of a sudden. It's gone on mind blank. The Romans are going to have to send men to defend this area. Because if I was Carthage, I would send like a decent portion of my army all the way through here. Because it just opens up more choke points. I mean, all of a sudden you can kill these archers. All of a sudden you can come and attack this position from the back. And it's pretty open as well. A lot of missile fire can come through here. And you can see the Romans even pushing back up here. And then all of a sudden you're attacking the city center from, like, you know, 4 or 5 different ways pretty effectively. But it's whether or not the Carthaginians will have the manpower to do that. See more of the Carthaginians pushing up the Sacred Band, slowly doing their job and grinding through the Roman formation bit by bit, inch by inch. They're making progress. They are getting hit in the side by missile fire, and you know, the Romans are just using their kind of rear guards to hold up the enemy as they pull back, and it's great to see them do this. You know, they're not lingering just too long. They know when they have to pull back, and it's a smart idea to do so. You know, they're biding time. I'm a little bit surprised when I'm seeing any men kind of using these gaps to push forward, but again, I don't think the Carthaginians are in a huge rush. They still need to wait until a lot of this other stuff has been broken through. The Carthaginians, though, I mean, I guess they have a lot of men down here. I was going to say, they kind of are lacking a lot of men in the Romans. Like, that looks pretty scary. That looks pretty goddamn scary. The Romans have a lot of men right here. Like, a lot. But the Carthaginians have got a decent spread of their infantry. And especially once they bring up more men here as well. Like, the thing is as well, a lot of these Romans are out of Pila or anything. So, that's not really going to be an issue. And they've basically killed the original armies already. There's only kind of really a reserve army, which has a lot of these kind of weaker units, some Principes, but a lot of these Socii, who aren't obviously going to be as good as Principes. And there's a lot of like elite infantry still in the city for Carthage as well. Lots of Sacred Band, which, you know, are just going to slowly whittle away and come out from top. A lot of missiles still left remaining, a lot of javelins as well. Oh, there's some cavalry, though, utilizing the streets and actually become flying in, I think, too, these guys. Trying to break through and probably get on the missiles. It's really fun to see the Romans try and do that and try and break more of these Carthaginian hoplites. They're going to pull out, though. They might be successful in breaking this unit of 50 hoplites, which could lead to more of a chain rout if they're not careful. Luckily, though, the Carthaginians have rallied the men, kept them aboard. And yeah, look at that. The Romans over here, the Triarii, finding themselves getting hit. And oh my god, this tower still hasn't been taken. The Carthaginians really should have sent some more men up here to take this tower a while ago. Because this tower has probably killed a good like 50 or so men, which could really make all the difference towards the end of the battle. Really, really good. The Carthaginians continue to throw more men. The javelins are now firing away from both sides. Actually, we've got Pila in the back from the Romans. And also the javelins from the mercenary noble fighters. And a lot of missile fire going in as well. We're just trying to whittle down this cavalry. Again, not a bad idea whatsoever. Killing the cavalry would be very useful, for sure. And obviously there's still heavy fighting over there. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Romans have a very good stranglehold, but I've been wrong on these battles all the time. Like my opinion on like who's going to win these battles flip-flops all the time, because players just kind of pull something out the bag I wasn't expecting. And there is still, you know, we're only halfway through the battle right now, so there's still plenty of stuff in. I might skip forward a little bit in a second, just as the Carthaginians pour more men in from this side of the battle. Oh no, my god, these Triarii still haven't broken yet. Oh my god. They really need to take this tower. They've finally taken this. So this is going to be turning the tide on the Romans now. Picking out a few of them. And that should see this unit of Triarii completely broken. So now we're going to probably have a grace period of like a couple minutes where Carthaginians just bring their army into this kind of open field and then push on the Romans. They can obviously also utilize these streets, you know, start sending men all the way around and trying to force the Romans back a little bit. Maybe try and get some cavalry around here and reinforce up on this area. That would be pretty brutal. So let's jump ahead just a couple minutes to see what the Carthaginians do. Okay, so the Carthaginians have now brought their armies a little bit closer and are going to be assaulting the Roman positions. I just feel like they just don't have enough. But these are Libyan infantry, right? So these guys are going to be outclassing their Roman counterparts, especially after that javelin throw as well, bringing the Roman army down quite a lot. And there's another volley coming in as well of javelins, and I'm sure their charges will be followed up in ferocious power against the Roman softened lines now, obviously, after taking that charge. Pullos going off, charging into the abyss. Someone should tell him to jump back in formation. I mean, his ferocity scared off the Carthaginians. He also still has plenty of ammunition left as well. It's just this assault is finally starting to falter. I think we might see a mass rout coming off fairly soon from the Carthaginians as their numbers do dwindle. So we'll have to see how this does develop, as there is still 25 minutes left of the battle, but I don't know. I just feel like the Carthaginians just don't have a ton left, but I guess all it takes is one massive breakthrough. Like, I guess there isn't that much here. Like, there's a handful of infantry, but Libyan infantry could probably break through this. And once the Libyan infantry does break through it, you know, I guess the Romans have to come flying back, retreating away as best as they can, and that might find them in a really, really tricky situation. With that, though, we are seeing more and more men turning up for the Carthaginians. We're just playing on triple speed really quickly as more and more of the Carthaginians just kind of get in position. Because there's no point kind of just watching them move up when we've already seen plenty of action happening. So yeah, we're just going to be bringing up more of their forces. And let's just, I guess, jump ahead a little bit more until they have fully committed to this area. So there was a heavy focus on bombardment from the Carthaginians. They were using a lot of their missiles to hammer away at the Romans. The Romans, in turn, formed a testudo to repel that, and that just initiated the Libyans coming in and hammering away at the Roman position. And you can see this archer fire is still coming in, getting the Romans out of that formation. That guy's got flipped over the shield wall. Is now going to, again, open up more of his archer fire to come in. You can see a lot of arrows in the shields of the Romans. Again, that is forcing the Romans back bit by bit. The Carthaginians, I mean, having no success here, though, whatsoever. And even the Carthaginian general charging away, knowing there is no way for him to come back to Carthage itself. The Romans being very aggressive out here, though, looking to engage the mercenary noble fighters from the side, and they quickly react to go ahead and plug that gap. But yeah, I think Rome is going to start pushing the advantage now and trying to punish the Carthaginians for their kind of overconfidence. I definitely do think, balancing-wise, though, this battle probably needed 4 Carthaginian armies. But I totally understand why they didn't do it, because the city could have fell before the reinforcement army did arrive. Maybe what they needed to like full-on balancing for this battle was, you know, half another army could have made a big difference and just given that Carthaginian force an extra ump. Because as soon as the army does get in the city, it spells really bad news for the Carthaginians. But again, that's what these scenario battles are for. They're not for the most balanced battle in the world. They're more for the excitement scenario that we do get, and this has still been a quality battle. Don't get that twisted at all. The Romans, just, you know, obviously in the city of Rome, it's going to be difficult for them to take them out, but they are trying their best. And Carthage is not done yet. They still have plenty of men scattered again throughout the city. I just feel like Rome's defense is very scary. However, the Carthaginians are doing great. They're breaking a lot. Am I going to eat my words? Am I going to get on the cross because I have bad-mouthed the Carthaginians here and rip them off way too early? Because they are taking care of these Romans now. Having this entire unit of Principes breaking again is going to push them up, but this is going to be difficult, right? You got Principe, you got Principe, you got Principe. There's going to be a street of death as they make their way up here. Also, did all the elephants die? I think all the elephants died to their own friendly fire here. Oh no. That is a major F from the chat. Poor old elephants. Romans are, however, going to be able to commit. Like, they completely dominated this area. It might not be a bad idea for some of the Carthaginians to just send a couple units of Sacred Band that again help cover this area. But yeah, it's gonna be dangerous. Can these guys fire as well? I mean, it looks awesome, right? That looks amazing. Unfortunately, but I don't think they're in range, which again is so unfortunate. It'd be awesome if they were. Also, look how short that guy at the front is. It'd be so awesome if these guys could actually fire inside of the city. It really would be cool. And you guys already know we're going on an adventure, because that has to be a juicy screenshot right there. But yeah, the Carthaginians completely broken down this street, and I think they're going to also be completely broken down this street as well, which only leave their like assault here. I think Hannibal's excursion into Italy has been a complete failure, if you ask me. Like, he's tried his best and not succeeded. Out of interest, could Hannibal have destroyed Rome? I think a lot of people think Hannibal, if he did attack Rome, he would have been victorious. But what do you guys think? Educate me in the comments, because I think the general consensus is, from whatever I've been told and read, is that like Hannibal could have taken Rome, but would have taken a lot of casualties doing so. What do you guys think? Do you think it was possible for Hannibal to do that? Do you think that was like one of his biggest downfalls, that he didn't push his advantage after winning major battles? Let me know in the comments. I'm always interested to read comments and find out what you guys think, and I always learn a ton because I read every single comment. So it's always interesting to kind of find out more and more about what you guys suggest. And there's a lot of you guys know a lot more about ancient history than I do. This guy getting absolutely broken down, sent back to the depths of hell. And more Libyan infantry arriving. But yeah, I think at this point, Rome, after securing this area, can really start to push on. They've broken out here and caught the enemy general. The noble cavalry is in full-on retreat. Hannibal is escaping with his life. We've got 2 Roman cohorts moving around the street now to reinforce this area. This one poor unit of late Carthaginian hoplites is in a pretty precarious spot as they just go over their fellow dead, expecting reinforcements to be here and just seeing a line of Roman infantry. If that was them, they need to try and come down here, but the Romans are not letting them. The Romans are going to be cutting off their retreat, and yeah, these guys are in a pretty scary position. Nowhere for them to go, and now I think it's going to be the Carthaginians who are going to be getting surrounded. Again, we can just triple speed through this until the Romans do arrive up, but yeah, I think all of a sudden, as this battle does kind of draw to a close, it's going to be the Carthaginians who find themselves being enveloped by the Roman forces, rather than the other way around, because yeah, I mean, they can continue to try and fight their way through these streets, but it's not going to be successful. And then, as you can see, yeah, the Romans are now being ultra aggressive here and pushing their advantage home. They're trying to drive the Sacred Band outside of the city of Rome. Look at that. Some of these guys are probably going to be resting. They're already active. A lot of these guys are actually fresh still as well. I don't know how. Yeah, these front cohorts are down to very tired. Probably need a little bit of a rest against these Sacred Band who are fresh and are ready. But obviously, with the disorder of the battle, these guys don't know that this battle is over. And one guy in the background has blood all over his eye. That looks awesome. And they're prepared to receive the Roman charge as it's inevitably coming in. They cheer that victory is at hand, but it is not. It is not. And the Romans are continuing to move in more men into the city, inch by inch. And the Carthaginians are just, yeah, hopeless. Really, really are. Don't know why all the Romans have set themselves up over on this side of the settlement, but I guess they're just trying to get out of the way for more cavalry charges to come in. Try and use the cavalry to break up the hoplite wall. This is actually like a pretty valid strategy. If you charge in with infantry as soon as you do this, because the Carthaginian hoplite wall becomes a lot more disorganized when you do this, and it takes a while for it to reform. So, you know, charging in like this is actually a valid strategy, because all of a sudden, you know, you've got Romans a little bit further in than they would originally be. So all of a sudden they're like attacking this hoplite from the side, and they kill out a few more men, and that creates more gaps. So charging them at cavalry to soften up the hoplite wall is actually a pretty good strategy. Oh, these archers can finally shoot now as well. Awesome. Oh, baby, that's exactly what we want to see. Okay, that's a much better screenshot right there. Of them actually, you know, notching their bows. Come on, notch that bow for me, boy. There we go. Perfect. And with that arrow fire coming in, I think there is no hope left for Carthage. No hope at all. We're going to continue just to throw more and more of their men in, but they're just out of manpower right now. And unfortunately, because as soon as that Roman legion kind of got its way across this bridge, it kind of was probably over. I don't think the Carthaginians had enough. And they had a lot of opportunities. Like, if they could have just got there a couple minutes earlier to this gatehouse and turned it away on the Romans, that would have then forced the Romans to have to go through their points right here, which the Carthaginians could have defended and really kept the Romans back. Got their missiles on the wall. That's something I would have loved to have seen, is them to actually take this gatehouse and then see what the Romans ended up doing to counter that. I think that would have been very, very interesting. We are getting some elephants coming around the corner now as well. But yeah, these are definitely the last couple moments for the Carthaginians, and we can just skip ahead until their final stand is met. The Romans have cornered the Carthaginians in the streets. No escape for them, no retreat. The Hannibal will meet his fate, and I like to think that Hannibal is in this unit right here, completely surrounded, seeing the Romans reinforced from every single side. And then knowing that his fate will be met this day, there is nothing they can do. You know, even with Sacred Band on every single corner, the Romans are utilizing their ability to get round the back of the Sacred Band and shoot them in the rear with missiles. And the Romans are just going to have a field day now, cutting down the Carthaginians. As soon as one of these breach points open up as well, you're going to have Principes or infantry just come flying through here and really deal with them. Again, it looks like the elephants got brought down. Oh, a nice little charge out there. Hannibal is going to try and take down as many Romans as he can before the end of the battle. He's going to get a good charge in on these Balearic slingers, reinforced by some more of these noble cavalrymen. But yeah, you can see the Sacred Brand dropping pretty quickly to the Syrian archer fire, with more infantry as well reinforcing. Yeah, look at that, taking down a ton of them. Every single volley taking down, you know, 20-ish men. Going to quite quickly find their way through that, and then, you know, obviously all of a sudden you have infantry coming in the back here, and this is going to be the breaking point right there. Hannibal does come back once again, opens up the route of retreat by his Sacred Band, but now the Roman infantry do turn up as well. We're getting Romans coming around the back of the Sacred Band, focusing down Hannibal himself. Obviously, if you cut that head off the snake, it's going to find itself wriggling around without any power, and another street is falling, and there we go. That is going to be the Battle of Rome. Really awesome. Ended up being a little bit unbalanced in favor of the Roman forces, but again, it's to be expected when we do these scenario battles. It's, you know, kind of is what it is, and I'm completely okay with that. And, you know, hopefully the more of these battles they do, they kind of have a better idea of just how strong some stuff will be, and it will just get better and better. So we're definitely going to stick around and see the kills right towards the end of this battle, because I'm very interested to see how well some of the Roman units did, and also vice versa. Because I feel like the Sacred Band just didn't do as well. But I guess it's kind of they're much better at more of a defensive siege than anything else. And there you go. Hannibal has been slain, and now the rest of the units are being brought to their knees. This last unit of Sacred Band going to find itself gone from the battle. And there you go, a Roman victory. I mean, to be fair, Rome didn't have a crazy amount left, but they still had a fair amount. You know, they still had, you know, this army had close to 1,000 left. This had 900 left. This had a little bit less, about 600-700. So Rome still had about, you know, wouldn't say just under a third of their army still left remaining. And I'm interested to see who really racked up the most kills. The Elephant's getting 100 kills is nice. Yeah, Principe is doing very impressive as always. This army was heavy Triarii focused, obviously one of the more defensive armies. And then I think this was a reinforcement army. Again, lots of deadly Principes. Actually, this must have been the reinforcement army, I think. because they have elephants in them. I'm honestly not too sure though. Then over on the attacking side of things, obviously lots of kills on the Cretan archers and also on the mercenary noble fighters as well. Over on Carthage's side on this army, again, their Libyan infantry honestly did really poorly. I was expecting more from the Libyans, honestly, as they are such a that's what people use against legionaries. So a little bit disappointed in how well they performed, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a comment. Obviously check them out on Discord, and as always, massive shout out to all my YouTube members and Patreons. I'm going to be updating this image in the next couple of days, so you can get your name on this if you go ahead and become a YouTube member or a Patreon. Links are down below in the description. I'm probably going to be updating it probably at the end of this week, so you have a little bit of time if you want to get on this image, and you know, obviously get a big shout out at the end of every video. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and fish out.